All right, what's up guys? So today I'm going to be doing my lower ball joints on my 2001 Toyota Tacoma 6 lug. I do know the 6 lug and the 5 lug versions are different, so this is specifically for the 6 lug version. So yeah, with that said, the reason I'm doing them is because when I first got the truck, like somewhere around 4 years ago, I replaced the lower ball joints. That was one of the first things I got done. I just had somebody do them for me, but this time around I'm gonna do it myself. I used Moog brand at the time, and luckily in those 4 years I never had any failures. Like I never had an accident or anything, but I do feel like I'm at that point where it's like, okay, it's about that time to replace them before something happens. And once I take them off, we'll see how they're doing. But yeah, this time around I got OEM, so that's what we're going to be working with. And yeah, so then moving on, I also got new hardware with the kit that I got. I got pretty much a lower ball joint kit, brand new cotter pins as well. It's recommended you do not reuse cotter pins. For the hardware, it's all the bolts that go on the ball joint as well as the castle nut. I got some thread locker as well for the bolts. Let's see, I have a torque wrench with me. Needle nose pliers also, by the way, for the cotter pins. But yeah, sockets for the castle nut, it's gonna be 15/16, and then for the smaller bolts over here, it's gonna be a 14mm. Also gonna need like a hammer or like a rubber mallet to be able to break loose the ball joints. And then also you're gonna need like you could use like a bottle jack press, or a bottle jack, I guess, to also help you get the job done. And you guys will see how I use those once I go and actually do the job itself. All right guys, so I almost forgot, but this is probably the most important thing. You want to make sure you can rent this tool from any auto parts store. I got this from AutoZone, $16. It's called the Pitman arm puller, and pretty much what this is going to help you do, it's going to help you separate the lower ball joint from the lower control arm. Otherwise you're gonna have a lot of trouble and you probably won't be able to take it apart. So yeah, just make sure you go and grab that. While we're here, might as well tell you guys the torque specs, that way you guys don't have to jump around and skip through the video. But pretty much when it comes to these 4 bolts right here, which are the ones that are going to go in from the underside on these 4 holes right here, those are going to be at 59 pounds foot of torque. And then from there, the bottom one, which is going to have the castle nut plus the cotter pin, that one's going to be 105. In my case, my torque wrench only goes up to, I think, 80. So after I hit 80, I'm just going to try to give it some more spins as much as I can, pretty hard, and then just throw a cotter pin in there. If you guys obviously have a stronger torque wrench, torque ratchet wrench, whatever, then obviously get the proper torque specs on there, which is 105. But in my case, that's just how I'm gonna go about it. Also with these are the ones you're gonna want to use thread locker on, the red kind, this kind right here. So yeah, and then over here, this is gonna be the tie rod connection, and this one's also gonna have a crown bolt like this one. For that one, you're gonna want to have a 67 pounds foot of torque along with the cotter pin as well. So yeah, so first things first, take off the wheel. Of course, I already have it on jacks. I have some blocks behind the rear tires, and I already loosened the lug nuts. So let's get these babies off. Tires off. So this is what we're working with right here. First one that needs to come off is the cotter pin there, along with the crown bolt that ties to the tie rod end. Okay, so I know in the beginning I said you're gonna need some needle nose pliers, but I actually ended up using these as well because these over here kept slipping, and since these lock, they made the job a lot easier. Now that's not to say that I didn't use these either. Actually, at one point ended up using both to try to get the cotter pin out, but maybe this one might be easier just using one. Well, not a millimeter, like a centimeter left, but I think that's it right there. And there we go. I had to kind of grab the pipe for my bottle jack and put it together and create some leverage like that. So with that said, let's see if we can get this crown bolt loose. If it comes loose on its own just like that, then we're good to go. If not, then we'll go ahead and use the pipe to get some leverage. All right, so this one's loose. Now with this one loose, you actually don't want to, what do you call it? You don't want to take it completely off. You just want to loosen it just enough to where once you go to separating the ball joint from the tie rod, it doesn't just fall out. So that's good right there. Let's go ahead and see if we can separate that now. All right, so to separate this, you have to pretty much whack it with the hammer, and it should pop it loose. If not, after a little while, what you could do, but you gotta be very careful, is you can whack it with the mallet on the tie rod arm, but as close as you can to the actual joint itself. So we're gonna whack it first here on the lower ball joint with the hammer and see if it pops loose. And there you go. You can see there, it's already loose. But we're not gonna take off the castle nut, we're gonna leave that there, and we're gonna move on to the other castle nut, which is underneath. Then this is where we're gonna use the AutoZone tool that we rented out, and we're gonna use that to separate this ball joint from the lower control arm here. There goes one piece right there. And I think the other one right there. All right, got some leverage. Let's see if we can pop it off. There we go. Wasn't too hard. Okay, same thing with this one. We just need to get it loose enough. Don't need that no more. A little more. Just enough room for it to pop. Okay, there. So bottom crown nut is loose. Top crown nut is loose up here by the tie rod. Now we're gonna go ahead and loosen and take off the 14mm bolts that are holding the ball joint to the control arm as well. Actually to the spindle and the hub and whatnot. But yeah, let's start getting those off as well. Let's see if we can use this one. Can use some leverage, see what happens. And there we go. So we have them all loose. Let's go ahead and take them off completely. I'm gonna use an impact for this part, save some time. Okay, so there it is set up, as you can see. Pretty much the silver part, it holds on to the lower control arm, and then you're gonna have this thing that looks like a bolt that's gonna screw upwards, press against the bottom of the ball joint threading there with the castle nut, and it should pop it out of place. And I'm leaving the castle nut on so everything just doesn't go flying everywhere, because it's a pretty violent pop. So let me set up the camera while I go ahead and do that. Go ahead and grab the pipe from the bottle jack, get some more leverage. Wasn't as violent as I thought. The first one actually was pretty violent, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it off now. So I have it's 2-wheel drive, so I have pretty much the spindle just hanging off the upper ball joint, so we're fine there. Let's go ahead and take off the castle nut, and then we'll take off the other castle nut, and we'll be able to replace the ball joint. So there's one castle nut there. Taking off the back one right now. Okay. And there we go. Let's do a quick comparison. Build quality almost looks similar, to be honest. I think the only difference will probably be the ball joint itself from inside, maybe. One thing I did notice is that the Moog ones do have like a little zerk to re-grease them, meanwhile the OEM don't. But when it comes to ball joint failure, most people had better luck with getting OEM as opposed to aftermarket. So yeah, there's not really crazy play on it, to be honest, but it does feel like it's already out of grease. So yeah, let's go ahead and throw this one on and get started. All right guys, so what you want to do for this part, once you put on the ball joint, once you align the bottom ball joint and then the tie rod, you want to throw on the castle nuts. You're not gonna torque them just yet. You just want to screw them on enough to where the ball joint itself isn't moving around. Once you got that, you want to use a bottle jack. That way you can pry or push the lower control arm upwards, and then will help you align the bolts, which are the 4 bolts that go on the lower ball joint. You want to thread those in first, and then once you have them lined up, you want to take them off one by one, apply some red Loctite, some red thread locker, right? And then you want to torque those down to spec. So let's go ahead and start doing that. See if we can get these aligned. Okay, I think I got a thread to catch. So now I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get these other ones going too. Okay, so the torque wrench is ready to go. These are gonna be torqued at 59. So I got the first one off again. I'm gonna go ahead and put some thread locker on that. I don't know exactly how much thread locker you're supposed to put on these, but what I've been doing, at least what I did on the first wheel, is I just put enough to cover half the top of the bolt, which is like a few drops, and then from there I just go ahead and I tighten it. So that's what I've seen in most videos, and that's what I'm gonna do. So let's go in there. Okay, so let's get it going now. There we go, double check, there. Okay, now pretty much the same thing for all 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and just skip to the castle nuts from here. What I will say, as you guys stare at this thread locker here, make sure that when you're installing these 4 bolts and torquing them, do like a crisscross pattern. Don't go like in a circle or whatever. Just kind of jump from one side to the other side and vice versa until you get all 4. So let's move on to probably the hardest one, which is going to be this one right here, the castle nut. That is supposed to go all the way to 105. Now my torque wrench does not go that high, but what I will do is I'm gonna pretty much set my torque wrench to its max capacity, which is 80, and then from there, once I reach 80, I know that I'm at least past or at 80, right? And I'll just have to muscle it from there. Okay, so that's 80 right there. Now we'll go ahead and get that pipe, hook it up to the ratchet, get some leverage, and go to town. And a little more and the hole should show.
there we go. So grab a new cotter pin. So what I'm gonna do, so this doesn't come out of place, is that's the top half right there, and that's the, well, I guess it's backwards. That's the bottom. Here's the top. And I'm gonna grab the rubber mallet so I don't mess up the threadings. Hammer that down. Hammer that down as well. And there you go. Let's go ahead and tighten that. That goes down to 67. Socket ready. And let's get to tightening. Or that click. There you go. Give it another go. There. So now, looks like the cotter pin's not gonna go through there. So they say if you ever get to this situation, you just want to do a little bit extra instead of loosening. And there. Throw on a new cotter pin. Put it through the back. It's easier. That's how you install your lower ball joints. Learning process for me, learning process for you guys. Again, you want to make sure that you have a proper torque wrench. I kind of had to do some guesswork and just muscle it for the lower castle nut. But when it comes to everything else, we were able to get the proper torque specs. Super useful and handy tool right here. Only $16 to rent from AutoZone. Highly recommend. And well, yeah guys, so let's go ahead and throw this wheel back on and finish off this job. Now before I end the video, I guess I could give you guys a quick sneak preview of what else I've been working on regarding the truck, but I don't want to give away too much, so let me just show you guys a little something. Alright guys, so wheels back on, and pretty much what I was going to show you guys is a few things. So I got some new caps there. As you guys can see, I have some lines there, which means this is where I'm gonna do some future cutting, because down the line I do want to get bigger tires than 33s, thinner but taller. I'm thinking 35, 37. And yeah, I've also kind of been sanding the truck, but I'll show you guys a little bit more about that on the actual video where I sand it. Moving on from that, so the code I had mentioned in the last video, as far as my truck kind of using up too much fuel and stuff, it came back, but it actually has been doing great on gas. But after being under here earlier and, you know, just taking a look at stuff and whatnot, my exhaust is just really old, really rusty. And if you guys look at that, there's definitely a little bit of a gap there. I'm thinking pretty much all the gaskets in my exhaust are just gone at this point, or useless. So I'm thinking that's where my code is coming from, because I looked it up, and the code now, aside from the previous code, it just says that there's a I guess like a leak or whatever by the O2 sensor. So yeah. And I've double checked, and I've been doing a lot of work up there in the engine bay, but I haven't done much down here regarding the exhaust. So I do want to get a side exit exhaust at one point. So if it's just that, I'm still gonna keep an eye on things. If it's just that, then I'll just probably let it be until I get that side exit exhaust, because I don't want to go through all that work only to take it apart later. But yeah guys, so that's it for this video. I have a whole mess I gotta clean up, so I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Deuces.